I started the year off by having a heart attack.
Oh my God.
And yeah, so we're on Zoom because I'm in sort of a modified quarantine situation. I'm not supposed to be around people unmasked because of the risk of COVID induced myocarditis. And I have a myocardial issue. So myocarditis is inflammation, and that could cause another heart attack.
That's so crazy. So, how did you know you were having a heart attack? Like, what was happening?
I did not know I was having a heart attack. I I was having chest. I wouldn't call it pain. It was more like tightness, short of breath. I was very short of breath. I had been complaining for a couple of days to Richard that I was walking around the house, and I said, I feel like I just got back from a run.
Hmm.
Did not get back from a run. I was just walking around the house doing laundry and dishes. And I mean, it was the kids were still on vacation. And so we were just living a very slow,
Right?
slow lifestyle. And I thought, why am I huffing and puffing? And I was sitting there on the couch just going, and it's just not normal. I'm a relatively fit person. I exercise, even when I'm not exercising a lot, I'm exercising.
Well, you ran
Um,
marathons for years, didn't you?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was the only reason that started had nothing to do with my heart or fitness. It was about my knee.
Right.
My knee just couldn't take it anymore. But yeah, so I was huffing and puffing. And then I also had noticed that I'd been getting a Charlie horse in my calf, had been waking me up in the middle of the night. You know, that happens sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
but it had been happening pretty consistently. And I Googled the symptoms, and they're the symptoms of a DVT blood clot, which, as you may remember, Richard had several years ago. Again, very like out of the blue, too young to have it. It was very unexpected. And so I called my doctor just thinking, maybe I talked to Richard, and he's like, no, he's always the one who's like, no, you should go see a doctor. And I'm like, it's COVID. I don't want to go through this. And I'm so Canadian. It's like I go to the doctor if I'm at death's door only. And he's like, no, you really need to call your doctor. This is troubling. And so I called my doctor's office to get an appointment, and they were like, we're going to put a nurse on the phone and I was like, this has been escalated.
Yeah, right.
Interesting. And the nurse came on and listened and said, you need to go to the ER. And I said, I do not want to go to the ER. And the nurse said, this sounds like a DVT blood clot, and you need to get that ruled out. That's very serious. So I was very irritated, and we hemmed and hawed about which ER to go to. And I was like, oh, just go to the closest. I'm not going to be there for long. They're just, it was noon on a Wednesday. So it's not like it was party time or anything. It's not, not a typical time for a lot of car accidents and
Right.
drunkenness. And so I went to the ER. The ER was, if I may be so rude to say, a shit show. It was.
You can. It was a shit show when I went there too.
Oh my God. It was just filled with COVID patients. And most of whom did not choose to wear a mask, even though they were told repeatedly to wear a mask. There were people who were taking their mask down to cough.
Oh my God.
Screamed at this guy. I was like, that's what the mask is there
for. Right.
And so I went through the usual intake, and they did, a test here and a test there, but nobody was there wasn't any sense of urgency. That the ER was packed. It was standing room only. So I was on my feet, and I was like, if I do have a blood clot, this is probably not a good idea, but I probably don't have a blood clot. I'm fine. And yeah, long story short, I was there. I finally went up at 8 hours. I'd been there for 8 hours, and I'd seen some people come and go. I'd seen a lot of drama. And I went up and I said, I've been here for 8 hours and I'm just wondering, like, I understand you're very busy, but I'm just trying to understand, like, what's going on, like what happens next. And the nurse misheard me. And she's like, you've been here for an hour? And I said, no, I've been here for 8 hours.
Right.
We're double masked. So it was kind of hard to get clarity. And she said, oh, and she said, oh yeah. And something about my heart. And I was like, what? And she said, yeah, we're looking at a potential heart attack here. And I was like, excuse me?
What?
I've been on my feet for 8 hours. And she's like, yeah, well, just go do this urine test or whatever, because the next test was going to have to be something that would, like, if you were pregnant, you couldn't. And I was like, I'm not pregnant, but okay, fine. And then I was like, Jesus, okay, where are we going with this? And within about a half hour, they said they finally had me back. I was in the waiting room all this time. They would just bring me to the back to do a test here, a test there. And then I'd just be back in the waiting room, the main ER waiting room. And they finally brought me back at about 8.5 hours, 9 hours into it, and said, you are having a heart attack.
Oh my God.
And we're going to admit you. And I was like, oh, I see. I mean, what do you say to that? It said that my heart enzymes were elevated, which showed that I was having a heart attack, and that at that point, I was also having a squeezing in my arm. So I was having squeezing in my chest, shortness of breath, squeezing in my arm. And none of it I would describe as pain, but low grade pain, but it was more just very out of the ordinary.